Eddie Griffin, ladies and gentlemen. He has talked about the Earth being flat for a long time. Let's get into it.
He wants to go to outer space. Just like every other billionaire. I need to go to outer space. What's out in outer space?
Why y'all trying to go out there?
And they never make it. The rocket ship hits the firmament, and the firmament stops it. Ain't nobody been to the moon. Ain't nobody been outside this giant cage we're trapped in. The firmament is real. This is why rocket ships take off and they start shooting at an angle. They'll scrape the firmament and they always land in the ocean. Then they shoot some grainy film that they were on the moon. It scraped the surface of the firmament, landed. It's only one day, but the landing is like a week later. But that's when they show it. All the shit happened in one day.
The landing is the coming back.
There's no satellites out there either, nigga.
Yeah, 'cause they ain't supposed to be out there.
There's no satellites.
You know, rocket ships, they have so many compartments that break off when you go. So how does the ship same when it lands?
Yeah.
Same as it takes off.
Or even the satellite.
No, there's no satellites. They are hanging satellites in the firmament. This is a GPS system. And that's the permanent GPS system. They call it space. But the space between Earth and God is called the firmament. And until he opens that up, it's going to be continued. Firmament. That's called the firmament. It's in the Bible. Nothing will get through the firmament. Flat Earth is real. Right? The world is not round. If it was, I could disprove this many times, but anyway. There's an ice wall around our three-dimensional world called Earth that lays on a two-dimensional plane. Right? But we're trapped in the center on this planet in an ice wall. This is why if you fly from anywhere on Earth to Australia, to Antarctica, why do you always have to fly to England? To make it seem like the world is round, you had to travel that far. From Florida to Antarctica is about four and a half hours on a straight shot. So why the fuck you gotta fly from Florida to London and then there? Anywhere you come from, you gotta go to London and London and then.
Laying over.
No, you're going to London because the reptilians there said you must come through there.
Let's look at this. If you wanted to go from Santiago to Australia, this would be the quickest route. Maybe just go around because we don't want to disturb the penguins. All right, so that would be the shortest route. But this is the actual route. Santiago all the way up to the East Coast, the West Coast, and then all the way back down. And if you want to go, check this out, to Western Australia, instead of taking a little scoot under here, you go all the way up here, all the way over to Europe and Dubai and down.
And why is that?
Because the Earth is flat. South America, you go all the way up, across America, Europe, Dubai, and Western Australia. It's a straight line on a flat Earth map. All plane routes that make no sense on a globe
That is so
make
true.
perfect sense on a flat Earth.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Do you ever ask any pilots what they think?
Yes, we've talked to many pilots, and they say that they know the Earth is flat.
In many years of air travel. So let's start off by just establishing your credibility.
I started flying. I got interested in aviation about 30 years ago, and 29 years ago I got my fixed wing license, then commercial. Flew aeroplanes for about 8 years before switching over to helicopters, commercial helicopter flying in a number of countries. And then I had the opportunity to go back into aeroplane flying, fixed wing, gain my air transport pilot license, and had the privilege and the opportunity to fly for a very wealthy corporate client. And I was flying his Citation X as well as his Gulfstream G650 around the globe. Oh well, we used to call it a globe then, but now I realise it's no longer a globe. And I've basically been flying both helicopters and aeroplanes commercially, professionally for the last 29 years around the world. And what hit me once about 4 years ago was I was teaching my boss's son to fly, and I went back through the training notes that I was given 30 odd years ago to prepare and study for my theory exams. And those documents, when I opened them up, very clearly stated that for all intensive purposes, for aerodynamics, we assume that the Earth is both flat and non-rotating.
So 29 years of experience, both fixed wing and helicopter.
That's right.
Commercially, personally, etc. And I guess going back to your original training, obviously that maybe did not, that fact that you find in the instruction manuals, right, when you're day one, right, of starting to simulate what it's going to be like when you're actually, engaging in air travel as a pilot. From day one, you're to assume, as you're training, that the Earth is flat and non-rotating. But it didn't strike you 29 years ago, did it?
No, and from most of my working brothers and sisters in the fixed and rotary field, they don't register that part. The irony of that is that when we take this assumption from our training manuals, which says that the Earth is flat and non-rotating, there's no second manual that now covers, now how do we deal with that, with the Coriolis effect and 1,000 kilometre an hour spin, yada yada, all the nonsense that we've heard. There's no transition to the real world of a spinning globe. So we remain with the so-called assumption that the Earth is flat and non-rotating. And when I'm planning a flight from one side of Earth, from whether it be from Brisbane, Australia to New York in the States, I don't make any plans for the adjusting of the additional radius of the Earth, and when I'm flying at 35, 40,000 feet. And if you look on a ball, the straight line between Sydney to New York, we'd almost be, or Brisbane to New York, we'd almost be overflying Hawaii. And yet, ironically, when I punch in the coordinates and I put in a flight plan for that flight to New York, we fly over Alaska, which would entail a massive dogleg. And I want to fly the shortest distance possible.
This is the World Submarine Cables Map. I want you to think of South America as 1, Africa as 2, and Australia as 3. Notice how there is no cables from here to here or here to here. You might ask, why is that important? Here's why. The reason you will never see these cables connected is because look how far the distance is from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, and the vast distance from 1 to 3. But Ryan, what about these cables here? Oh yeah, you mean the short distance right here? But you might ask yourself, Ryan, why is that important? Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Y'all, pull up any map of sea cables and you will see that none of these touch. Because we live on a flat, geocentric plane.
This is the world map. And this is wrong. What if I told you that from here to here, it's 6,400 kilometers, but from here to here, which only looks like half the size, is 7,200. The continent of Africa has been shown smaller than it actually is. What if I told you that Greenland was only this size? Or Russia was this size? Or the US and Canada were much smaller? You know what? This is the real map. Look at Sweden, Finland, and Norway. They're much smaller now. Or Greenland is tiny. Maybe.
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
That's true?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, cool.
All right.
God bless.
How long have you been flying for?
Like for Delta 21 years, but maybe like 30 something.
I want to know, because they say the pilots know a lot. Do you think the Earth is flat or no?
I know it's flat.
You know it's flat?
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
No.
No? What did you see while we were up there?
This is the blue sky, white clouds.
Yeah, is it flat or?
Pretty flat.
Pretty flat?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
Curvature? No.
No? There's no curvature?
It's just all flat.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I've been flying, and I've come to the conclusion there is no curvature. I never allow for curvature. There's no way there's curvature. We're round and flat, aren't we?
Definitely.
We are, aren't we?
Flat as a pancake,
Thank you,
mate.
sir.
Flat as a pancake.
Yes, we've talked to many pilots, and they say that they know the Earth is flat and stationary. They talk about how their gyros maintain level, that they see things, that are literally impossible on a globe, on a spinning globe. And we actually interviewed a KLM pilot who was telling us all this stuff, showing us all sorts of stuff. Next day, she was grounded and fired. Okay. Yep. And so this is a long distance flight, and the sun right here should dip below the horizon.
Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
Explain why we're not getting to see these images live. The Apollo 11 landing was broadcast live. Why now don't we have the technology to see all of this live?
And we're getting a picture on the TV. You got a good picture, huh?
He's on the moon. And the second man is on the moon.
Neil Armstrong getting ready to move the TV camera now out to the panorama position.
Okay, as far as distance goes, Neil, and we'll line you up again when you finish the panorama.
Tell me if you got a picture, Houston. We got a beautiful picture now.
Issues with file transfers. We did have a number of communications glitches. We had either forward or return link problems.
Also, during coast in the zero gravity of environment of space.
It's very difficult to transmit on the fly, if you will, and get that all the way back to Earth.
Struggle to get communications.
Unfortunately, they're going to be in the darkness. They will not be sunlit, so we won't get very good video of them.
Proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Beds are good. Proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Beds are good.
Explain why we're not getting to see these images live. The Apollo 11 landing was broadcast live. Why now
don't we have the technology to see all of this live?
And we're getting a picture on the TV. You got a good picture, huh?
He's on the moon. And the second man is on the moon.
Neil Armstrong, they're getting ready to move the TV camera now out to the panorama position. Okay, as far as distance goes, Neil, and we'll line you up again when you finish the panorama. Tell me if you got a picture, Houston. We got a beautiful picture now.
Issues with file transfers. We did have a number of communications glitches. We had either forward or return link problems.
Also, during coast in the zero gravity of environment of space.
It's very difficult to transmit on the fly, if you will, and get that all the way back to Earth.
Struggle to get communications.
Unfortunately, they're going to be in the darkness. They will not be sunlit, so we won't get very good video of them.
This is funny. Oh, what just happened? Gravity only happens in magical gravity pockets on the ISS. You just don't know how it works. Look, he just blatantly drops the object. So, and again, the one thing I want to point out, because for people that are being honest, you can tell that they know they messed up. So just like watch him. He's like, oh yeah, that was not supposed to happen.
2, 1.
That sounds.
one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
Rockets don't have brakes. It literally stopped. All of that angular momentum from the rotation of the rocket and the linear momentum from flying up just stopped. No, it had to hit something.
It's a long fly ball going back. And the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium. Oh, Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well...
Would you look at that?
Yeah, there's a...
You know, when I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, would you look at this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
All you doing is presenting a challenge for me to challenge myself. Bruce was the greatest counterpuncher ever because of his hand speed. He's saying, throw something at me so you can teach me how to whoop your ass. Every L is just a lesson on how to not do that again. Right.
The sun is local. It only sets due to our perspective of its setting. The sun never truly sets. It moves across a flat plane, only setting to the human vision. If it was truly 93 million miles away, how could something so big become so small when setting? It is all an illusion. How is it that the sun can be underneath the clouds when it is meant to be 93 million miles away? It's impossible for the sun and the moon to be out at the same time. The stars have never changed ever since the day of creation. The stars are light which influence our body, mind and consciousness. NASA are using fisheye lenses. When we go up to the same height, we never see the same curvature. They are hiding the true cosmology. They are hiding the divine creation that we are in.
southern flights prove that the Earth is not a ball. This is the World Cup soccer.
Oh.
Okay? They were in Doha. They wanted to go back to Buenos Aires. They went to Rome to refuel, and then they went back there. Why didn't they just go here? Because if they did, there's no place to refuel out here. On a flat Earth, Doha, Rome, Buenos Aires. Taiwan to Los Angeles. They had an emergency right about here. Well, where would you land? Well, you could go to Hawaii. I might as well go to Los Angeles. Instead, they went all the way to Alaska. Okay?
Flat Earth.
Right? Flat Earth, Taiwan, Alaska, Los Angeles.
Ooh.
Okay. So here's an emergency. They were going from New York to Hawaii, right about here, and they said we have to land. So they went to Seattle, which is like 1,000 miles out of the way. They got there in record time. New York, Seattle, Hawaii.
Proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector grid.
First person to ever venture far enough up to see what the Earth looked like was a guy named Auguste Piccard. Most of us have never heard of this person because when he made it to the stratosphere, he said he saw what appeared to be a flat disk with an upturned edge. Now, after Auguste Piccard ventured to the stratosphere, we have the U.S. Air Force showing us the stars from space for the very first time. And when you look at what they showed us, what they actually saw, you begin to understand why the moon landing never had stars in the background, why they're not showing us stars from space anymore, because it's very difficult to pull this off.
The sky is deep black.
You can see the stars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
The sky, of course, was black. The heavens are 10 times as bright, stars 10 times as numerous.
And we cannot see stars.
The thing about Carl Sagan, billions of billions, there really are billions and billions of stars, and you can see them.
It's an unfathomable blackness, like texture you feel like you could stick your hand into.
And that's when things start to get weird, because people have gone back and looked at declassified documents that for some reason keep mentioning a flat, non-rotating Earth. Over and over again, it's in their flight plans, it's in all their working models, this flat, stationary Earth.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. It's my question. I want to know what I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
Question. What did you see in space?
Buddy, brother, friend, comrade. The world is not quite what movies have made it seem. People think you launch a rocket up into the atmosphere and just fly out into the abyss of infinite space. But this couldn't be farther from the reality. Once we go beyond a certain altitude and kind of reach the cusp of our atmosphere, we reach the same barrier time and time again, and impenetrably dense, translucent layer of concrete solid water, of which behind it appears to be a mysteriously dark body of infinite waters that we misinterpret as outer space. It would be through this abyss of water that we could assume the potential to travel to other existing worlds. But without a way through this firmament, we are restricted to fairly limited speculation. It appears as though whatever kind of a god or what have you that created this place did not intend for us to get through that barrier. In the meantime, however, CGI has made for a hell of an illusion of what lies beyond.
Wait. You're telling me you believe anything that spews out of these people's mouth? Think these people are going 250 miles up into the atmosphere, catching the ISS that's traveling 17,000 miles an hour, and getting on it, and we've caught these people in quite a few lies through photos and videos. Wait, you haven't seen any of them? Let's check them out. So if these people are actually on the ISS, why are they the only ones glitching out and not the background? It's almost like they're on one layer and the backgrounds are, oh, there's the green screen. This whole reality that NASA has painted fictitiously for you guys is all a joke. It's all a lie. Not looking good, guys. Oh man, this is not good. This is hard to watch. Wow. You people just love this stuff, huh? These people didn't go to the moon. These people aren't going to space. It's not a tubular hunk of metal orbiting the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour. It's simply in a pool. All you have to do is look for it, guys. All you have to do is question it and say, maybe I should look into the counter-argument of the globe model and look into flat Earth and see, maybe these guys are onto something. We're onto something. Caleb, the ISS is up there. I've seen it before. I've taken pictures and videos. Do you think the size of the ISS would be that big if it was actually 253 miles away, being the same size as a Boeing? This is a Boeing, 7 miles high. This is the ISS, supposedly 253 miles high. The angular size of the ISS would be too small for you to even see it, buddy. What they're doing is they're retrofitting things, planes like Boeings, to look like the ISS and flying them in front of the moon to F with people like you. If these people are actually getting on and off the ISS that's supposedly going 17,500 miles an hour and 250 miles away, why are they taking more pictures of it? You know, as they're coming back down from orbit, going up, they could take a picture of it floating up there. Yeah, it's really hard to find real pictures. Kind of like satellites. 0-second delay on a landline, but 11-second delay on the ISS.
In the heliocentric model of the cosmos, the moon revolves around the Earth 13 times per year, traveling at 2,288 miles per hour, while the Earth revolves around the Sun once per year, traveling at 67,000 miles per hour. The following model and animation illustrate how this is supposed to occur. As you can see, since the moon is revolving around the Earth, which itself is revolving around the Sun, in order to maintain its regular orbit, the moon would have to be constantly and drastically changing its speed in ways completely unaccounted for by the model. In the outer part of its orbit, the moon would have to speed up 67,000 miles per hour, in addition to its regular speed of 2,288 miles per hour, just to keep up with the Earth. So the moon would then be traveling at 69,288 miles per hour when it reached the front of the Earth. At this point, since the moon is allegedly 240,000 miles away from the Earth would catch up in just 4 hours, so the moon must continue traveling 67,000 miles per hour along Earth's trajectory, while simultaneously continuing its now perpendicular 2,288 mile per hour second trajectory. Then, as it turns to reach the inner part of its orbit, the moon must now slow back down to its original speed, allowing the Earth to pass by. Lastly, as it passes behind the Earth, the moon must once again quickly accelerate back up to nearly 70,000 miles per hour before getting left in the dust. In addition to all of this, the Sun itself is allegedly orbiting the Milky Way galaxy at 448,000 miles per hour, further compounding the problems and calculations of the heliocentric model. If this were true, then the Earth, Moon, and other planets would all have yet another set of ridiculous and impossible corkscrewing accelerations and decelerations necessary just to keep up with the Sun. And for the cherry on top, all of these calculations have been assuming perfectly circular orbits, but the actual heliocentric model claims that the Moon's orbit around the Earth's orbit around the Sun, and the Sun's orbit around the Milky Way are all elliptical, not circular, meaning there would be even more additional accelerations and decelerations to calculate depending where each one is along its elliptical path. These constant and drastic accelerations and decelerations necessitated by the heliocentric model are rarely, if ever, mentioned by globe believers, because they have always been taught that the reason we do not feel or experience any of this supposed motion is because we always travel at a constant velocity. In their own model, however, due to their elliptical orbits and revolving around other revolving bodies, the Moon, Sun, Earth, and other planets could not maintain constant velocities, and would instead be regularly accelerating and decelerating. Yet, meanwhile, you can stack a house of cards, make a rock cairn, or play a game of Jenga, all without any of this motion, acceleration, and deceleration ever being felt or experienced.